Welcome to Escape Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week, leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, we're here. It happened. Season 4 is over.
Season 4 is over. How wild is that?
I mean, this episode is a bit weird to me.
So let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
So it was season 4, episode 22, Lucifer Rising, written and directed by Eric Kripke. Is this the first time we've seen Kripke direct? No, he's directed other ones.
He's directed before. Yeah, I feel it. I think it was fine.
And that's the issue, right?
Right.
Because this is such a big moment in Supernatural that when you rewatch it, you're just like, oh no, we already know all of this is coming. Like, it clicked for me again 4 episodes ago in the monster at the end of this book.
Yeah.
And I don't think the sneaky reveal was as sneaky as Kripke thought it was going to be.
I mean, I honestly, because it's all in my brain, I don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore what I was supposed to know and what I wasn't supposed to know, and like who's working for who and the betrayals. And was I more shocked back when I watched this, like at my early days at university? Maybe, but I don't remember.
Neither do I.
A lot happens in this. I feel like Kripke here pulled a little bit of a Moffat for me. A little bit. Not much, in that it suddenly all came together in the end, right?
Yeah.
There were some hints, maybe, through the series, but I don't feel like, as if you were watching this for the first time, you would be able to puzzle out exactly how this all falls together in the final episode. Which is fine. That's okay, because it's not actually that much that gets revealed.
Mm-hmm. There's much more to be revealed.
Yeah, and I think they did actually stagger it well. Like, if they had also revealed about the whole Michael sword thing in this episode, it would have been too much. I'm glad they didn't, and that we have to wait till season 5 for that. But there's enough.
Yeah, they only hinted at it with the artwork that was in the room.
Yes. Ooh, we're going to talk about the green room. The green room is my old buddy, old pal. It's good.
I enjoyed the episode. I liked some of the shots in it. I liked the acting in this was really good by everybody.
Yes, definitely.
I feel so bad for Sam in this episode. Oh,
yeah.
I feel like he was betrayed the most out of everybody.
Oh, definitely. The manipulation, the lies, everything. Yeah. And, we'll talk about Sam.
I hope so.
There were some moments in this where I was literally shouting like, damn, at my telly. As well. That we'll get to. I won't talk about them yet because they're good. Yeah. But I like Bobby. I just gotta have, know.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, since this is the season finale, I knew it was coming.
Oh no.
I felt it in my bones. Oh, I didn't feel it in my bones. I knew it was coming. It was that time in the season. I'm still not prepared for it.
Every single time. Visceral reaction. The recap was very good. Whoever edited this really managed to condense the season into its core parts and go, yeah, this is what it was all about. Oh,
and look at that. Like, everything between, like, the mid-season finale and the monster at the end of this book, you just didn't need to watch because it wasn't in that recap.
No, it wasn't there. So
you needed to watch Sex and Violence, actually, so that was in between the two. But anyway, no, it was those filler episodes, man. I will not let those go for this season because they were so bad.
The fillers were not great. I do feel like, having now watched again for Road So Fars, I feel like I have the formula, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, beat for beat, we're going to punch some guys or shoot them.
Yes.
And then goes into some like major plot point. Then we'll have some emotional baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll just finish on something like completely devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then sort of the voiceover will have something devastating, but the visuals will be like what happened in the previous episode.
That's
so you can kind of remember what happened.
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, yeah. I feel like I could actually beat for beat write this recap out. Like I feel like I remember all of it without it in front of me. Like I feel like I could fully do it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to let you explain it instead.
I mean, it's quite long, so I probably won't go through all of it, but it's pretty much what you said. It's just various scenes throughout the entire season 4. Maybe some notable moments that I put down was the blood drinking, Chuck being a prophet, Sam and Dean hugging and having a bit of Adam in there as well, Sam's detox, the fight, and then one of the last things was Dean yelling at Sam saying, if you go out that door, don't ever come back.
Yeah. And they did the like beat of the song with the closing of the door, and it was very good.
Oh, the emotions. I have to get a tissue.
I wonder if anyone on YouTube has cut together all of the recaps for Supernatural, because I would actually sit and watch that for a good, like, whatever, 15 minutes, however long it would be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is how you introduce Supernatural to somebody.
You have to listen to Kansas 15 times in a row.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I could do that.
It's actually only 14 times, right? Because, of course, the first season wouldn't have... Oh, wait, no.
Oh,
No, it does. That's a lie. I'm lying.
Because they're at the end of each season.
End of season. Yeah.
Is Back in Black that you'd only get.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, even less than that, because I don't think they used it in season 2.
This is the controversial take. I kind of wish they'd changed up the songs for the Road So Far, and then it hadn't always been Kansas.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think it's kind of nice to like, because it's not like it's their song.
Yeah.
Like it's not a theme song that was an original soundtrack. So they could have changed it.
If only they could have got those Led Zeppelin rights.
Right.
It definitely would have been Ramble On instead. Like I can see it. I can hear it.
So, okay, task for the audience, right?
Yes. Homework time.
Homework time. If somebody's done it, send it to us, or if you feel up to the task, do it. Do the row so far with the songs that you think it should have been for those seasons.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I feel like season 1 obviously would have been a lot more Sam based, so maybe Kansas makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's more country rock.
Yeah. Season 3, I'm putting out there, AC/DC's Highway to Hell. Come on.
Right? Exactly.
Right?
And just as we go through, like what you think they would have been.
Yeah. This is a good assignment. I'm looking forward to reading these. I will be judging and marking them all. Get my red pen out.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to know. Yeah. We then cut to I say now, but it's not really because it's in 1972, and we're at St. Mary's Convent in Ilchester, Maryland. This priest is walking along, and he's being chased by something. Some reason I was like, oh, it's a ghost camera, but obviously it's demon camera.
Yep. This was very similar to when their priest friend, whose name just escapes me for a second, got possessed and killed. Like, it was very similar visual. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
He gets possessed. Like, it shows his face, and then it cuts to the next day, and he's standing at the altar about to give the Lord's Prayer, and he's just like, blah, 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 blah. Deliver us from evil. He goes on a villain monologue.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Deliver us from evil. Truer words have never been spoken. As it seems difficult to know the Creator. Sometimes I feel, in a very literal sense, that I've been wandering the desert for years, looking for our Father. And he's like, but not our Father, my Father.
It's quite good. I quite like that.
And it's revealed that at this spot is where Lucifer's cage is. Mm-hmm. Or at least where the door is.
Yeah.
A nun sort of interrupts his monologue, and he tells her to shut her pie hole and calls her a slut, which obviously she would not be if she's... Well, not obviously, but more than likely than not.
This is this demon's thing. He does this a lot, actually. He has some disregard for women.
That's very true. These nuns...
Yeah.
Are way too attractive to be nuns. I'm sorry. But, like, they were all super young.
Yeah.
They all look like actresses.
No, you're right. They all do look like actresses. They don't look like any nun I've ever met.
Right?
Right.
No. Like, bring me some of the nuns from Sister Act.
Yeah.
Right? There was only sort of one young, attractive one amongst them, and the rest were all just, like, normal-looking people.
Yeah.
But like, none of these people were, like...
Where's your middle-aged nuns? Because all the nuns I've ever seen or met have either been middle-aged women or older. I've never met anyone who's like 20 and a nun. I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are.
Especially in 1970. Like, I'm sure there were more nuns then than there are now.
Yeah. Not all in the same convent. They just sent all their young, like, actress-looking nuns to this one convent. Just,
It's the rebel convent. It's the convent where, like, these ladies were troubled in their youth.
Sure. Like, let's get some backstory for these nuns that are about to be horribly slaughtered.
Yeah. Because he walks down the aisle and locks the chapel doors, and he walks back giving his speech. Some priest probably felt the holy light of an angel and then built a nun factory. Great line.
Yep.
And he says, it's the right idea, but wrong angel.
Yeah.
And his eyes turned yellow, and it's Azazel.
If any of you gals are the praying type, now would be a good time to start.
Which I think they would be. And as the camera pulls away from the door at the back, it focuses on, like, an angel statue, and you hear, like, screaming in the background.
2 comments on this scene. Well, first of all, there are a lot of women screaming in this episode, full stop. A lot. Like, more than usual.
Kripke, we have issues. I mean, you're right. Every person who dies in this is a woman.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Well, yeah. Every single person who dies in this episode is a woman. Secondly, I know I should know this. Why 1972? Is there significance there?
So in 1973 is when he starts on his journey to find, at least that's where it seems like, his journey to find the special child.
Oh, so it had to be 1972 to retroactively fit it in with the timeline. Like,
actually, so I was doing some research on some of the paintings and, like, looking at the wiki for this episode.
Yes.
There was an actual priest that killed a bunch of nuns in 1972 in this church.
It was like in
real life.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Okay. That's. I mean, yeah, Kripke probably would know that because he was looking up stuff for the show and, like, based on American folklore, I guess. I'm saying folklore, but yeah, it actually happened.
Yeah. So this is actually a real life event that had happened. Like a priest had killed 5 nuns in, like, in a 5-pointed star.
Whoa. Okay. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
In St. Mary's Convent in Ilchester. And the town is now abandoned.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah, it's...
This is one thing, like, Kripke is good at pulling resources from, like, not very well-known things. Mm-hmm. Also, St. Mary's Convent.
I know.
Right? Like,
I know.
why?
Is that really why Azazel liked Mary? It's because her name was Mary.
Maybe. Okay, yeah, I didn't know this was based on a real event. That's really interesting. Kudos to Kripke, I guess, but also you did just make some TV show out of something terrible that happened, so okay. It's not the first time, it's not the last time that anyone's ever going to do that, so I feel like there's not much judgment really there. Plus, this is supernatural. Yeah. From the convent in 1972, we do finally come to present day. We see Sam and Ruby outside this house that they've acquired, living in, I don't know. But clearly, Sam he's gone, he did what Dean said and left forever. But he's looking pretty pensive about it, I'll be honest. Ruby kind of checks in with him and she says, look, I know hand-holding really isn't my thing, but still, Dean was wrong saying what he said to you, so they obviously talked about it. And Sam actually says, like, no, he was right to say, I don't blame him after what I did. I was like, oh. I think even from the get-go of this episode, Sam's having doubts about his actions.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And Ruby does say, like, well, after we're all done, you guys will fix things like you always do. And Sam is very much expecting to die here because he says...
You're talking like I got an after.
He has mentioned this a few times that he's going to die killing Lilith. Like, it was always the plan. And he says here, like, he can feel it inside of him that he's changed for good. So he's actually altered his, I don't know, his body in some way. He's also, like, by leaving, it seems like he's trying to protect Dean. That's the idea I got as well, because he says, like...
I know what I gotta do. It's okay, I'm just saying... Dean's better off as far away from me as possible.
Like, let's just get this done. And they leave. But it does feel like, well, if Dean's not on board, then he needs to be away from me. And, like, maybe I'm protecting him in some way by... I guess if Sam thinks he's going to die killing Lilith, if Dean was with him, he'd probably also die.
Sam wants to sacrifice himself so badly.
Oh, yeah.
So badly. I'm noticing it now, and it is why he sacrifices himself at the end of the next season, because he still wants to. Like, he saw Daddy do it, he saw Big Brother do it. Now I have to do it. It's like, no, you don't.
It's like, how do I prove myself in this family? Oh, I have to sacrifice myself, but, like, you know, in a big way.
Yeah.
It can't be like a little way of, like, you know, just giving up my career and my life and my normal family that I wanted. No. I actually have to die for the world to be considered a Winchester. I'm glad I'm not a Winchester, Annabelle.
I know, me too.
The burden of responsibility the name places on people.
I mean, the thing is, though, like, it's all, like, self-appointed, though.
Yeah, but, like, other people take it on, too. Like, I feel Cass and Jack, as well, also take on this, burden of, like, self-sacrificial responsibility to feel like they're included in the family. Like, it's a rite of passage that you have to die before...
So one thing I also want to note is how they start the first scene with Sam and then the next scene with Dean, and then going back to Chuck's episode about having literal symmetry. It's like, Kripke, what are you doing? You're calling yourself out as Chuck throughout this entire episode. Everything about this episode is about symmetry.
You're completely right, because they start with Sam and his face is not in focus and it focuses in, and then they start with Dean, again, not in focus and it focuses in. They have literally Sam through this episode consorting with a demon, and Dean consorting with an angel. Like, it's...
I mean, even the way that these scenes start, like, Sam is being called on by Ruby, and then Dean is being called on by Bobby.
Yeah.
And they're both not paying attention. Like, I understand what he's trying to do with this, but it feels way too literal.
Yeah. There are a few moments in this episode where I feel like people have pointed to that in terms of subtext. And I'm like... No, Kripke's not being that subtle. It's actual text. It's actual text. Yeah. There's one moment which is a pretty famous moment that I'll point out that I'm like, I don't think it's as subtle as everybody thinks it is. I hope we're on the same page with that.
I think we are.
So yes, we do see Dean and Bobby is chewing him out. He's trying to convince Dean to ring Sam. I like that he says, when Dean's like, no, he's like, don't make me get my gun, boy. And you just remember that the last time they saw Bobby before this whole thing, that he was like shooting at John as he was like driving away or whatever, or like pulling a shotgun on him. It's really funny because the tables have kind of turned here, because in the last episode, Bobby was like, oh, you know, Armageddon's coming, maybe we should let Sam go and do his thing. And now Dean's saying... like, oh, we're close to Armageddon, maybe we shouldn't be thinking about Sam. It's Anyway, Bobby says, I know you're pissed, and I'm not making apologies for what he's done, but he's your... And Dean interrupts him.
He's your blood? He's my blood, is that what you're gonna say?
And it's kind of the implication that, like, he's not anymore because he's got so much demon blood. And there is a theory, I think, during these episodes that it was going to turn out that Sam wasn't actually, like, John's son at one point.
Yeah, we had mentioned that in a previous episode.
That's good. Because I feel like they were kind of almost ramping up to that being a reveal at some point. And some of the things that Dean says here are saying, you know, like he's not being really a good part of the family, etc. My personal opinion, it's more interesting if they are brothers here because it's just showing how Sam is kind of ostracized from the Winchesters sometimes and why he feels maybe why he should have to prove himself.
That's true. I mean, every time Sam does something wrong, Stanford gets thrown in his face. Him leaving gets thrown in his face. Like, as if that's the worst thing that he could ever do of just, like, wanting to go have a life.
Yeah, he, like, betrayed the family legacy. He did it once, and it's been forever haunting him. You betrayed the family legacy of hunting.
The thing is, Dean has had a conversation with a young Mary saying that she never wanted them to go into hunting. So Dean should absolutely not be throwing it in Sam's face that he left. Obviously it is resentment for him being able to leave and Dean not being able to leave because he, you know, had to do as John told him. But, like, give Mary at least one son, right?
Right. He managed to get out of hunting and do, you know, do the thing. Maybe that's why Dean's so part of that is that he in some way thought his mother would be proud of him, and then when he met her, he was like, oh, actually, she'd be really disappointed that I'm still a hunter. Yeah.
But then when Mary comes back, she's, like, impressed by their skills, so it's just like, actually, you just, she should be more pissed at John. That's what it comes down to.
I love Mary. I do love Mary when she comes back. I do. But I feel like they could have handled her character differently, and we'll get there. One day.
Give it about 5 years. Actually, a bit less than that.
Yeah, Dean does say, like, I've got to face the facts. Sam never wanted to be part of this family. He hated his life growing up, ran away to Stanford the first chance he got. Now it's like deja vu all over again. He said, I'm tired of chasing him. He can do what he wants. And Bobby's like, come on.
But he's not wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're adults now. Sam can go do what he wants. Like, John is not around. Dean can give up, and it is fine. I mean, obviously, it's not fine because what Sam's doing is not great and blah, 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 blah. But he's not responsible for Sam anymore.
Oh, he's not, but he's not, but he's still his little brother. Like, I mean, Bobby's actually gets quite angry at Dean for being very blasé about Sam and his life and, like, properly chews him out.
Are you under the impression that family's supposed to make you feel good?
I like that he says bake you an apple pie, maybe. Like,
yeah. We don't know the significance of apple pie yet, but yeah.
Yeah. And Bobby says this, like, family's supposed to make you miserable. That's why they're family. And I'm like, no.
No.
I love Bobby. I do. I mean, I think Bobby has a very skewed opinion on family because of his own history with his wife and everything. He's got a very fraught relationship with Sam and Dean, who he sees as his sons, because they do stress him out a lot.
What I loved about this is, like, the way that Dean looks at Bobby during his whole, like, this whole section is, like, the first time you see your parents, like, either swear or, like, get super angry at you.
Yeah. I think Bobby really chewing him out like this, although it's maybe not in the best way, does make Dean think, maybe I am being unreasonable. Like, if Bobby thinks so, maybe I am. Because Dean really focused on that line that he said to Sam, like...
Told him, you walk out that door, don't come back, and he walked out anyway.
I mean, I don't know what you're expecting Sam to do there, because you knew you were throwing John's words into him. I would leave on the principle of that, like, let alone if, like, for a valid reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
That's
for
just
pure
a dick thing to say.
Yeah, pure sibling pettiness would have made me slam that door. And Bobby says, he goes, "You sound like a whiny brat." "No, you sound like your dad." "Well, let me tell you something. Your dad was a coward." And I was
Yes.
like, "Dad, Bobby!"
I was like, finally someone said it. And it's someone that Dean respects that said it.
It's great. I love Bobby for this. And Dean's like, "Excuse me? My dad does a lot of things, Bobby, but a coward." And Bobby's like, "Well, no, he was a coward because he pushed Sam away rather than reach out to him. That doesn't strike me as brave. You're a Oh. This line got to me. Because Jensen can act, man. And like the look on his face when Bobby says, "You're a better man than your daddy ever was," is...
He's thinking about Alistair and what he said to him.
Yeah. And you can just read that on his face. Like,
yep.
And he doesn't even say anything to that. And you know the like devastating effect those words have on him. And I think also, like, because Bobby goes on and says, "Do us both a favour, don't be him." And I do feel like Dean finally takes that on board.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is the moment where he's finally thinking, I'm not my father.
And it's okay that I'm not my father.
Yeah, I can like see it. So I mean, oh man, it's such a good moment. I think this was one of the best episodes of the whole episode. Is this moment? Yeah,
and it's just a shame that Bobby's not in this episode for the rest of this, for the rest of this episode, because like he initiated Team Free Will.
He did. Yeah, if he hadn't said the things he said here, I feel that a lot of these events wouldn't have played out because there just wouldn't have been the force of will to do it. Yeah.
Is this Kripke wishing he had a father figure to tell? Oh no, we already know his childhood was fine.
People have asked him, sir. They have actually asked him because of the many daddy issues that he writes into his stuff, Supernatural, The Boys. Are you sure you're okay with your dad? And he's like, "Yes, fine." So,
or is these just some of the conversations that you wish he'd had? Like, I don't know. It's just like
maybe
Bobby is such a stand-up guy and such a good like father figure, and like I think Bobby's the dad we all want, right?
Right, yeah. Maybe a lot of people just need more validation from their fathers, generally in life.
Yeah.
Just a bit more. Come on, dads. Say you're proud of your kids.
Especially your sons.
Especially your sons. I just always think about this moment as well from Bobby's point of view, because he said, "Don't be your father," and then Dean literally just like, I don't know, imploded in front of him, disappeared. Like, what happened? How did this look to Bobby? Because he's just stood there in his living room like, where'd he go?
Bobby would have tried to find him for sure.
Yeah.
He didn't call Sam either.
Or did he?
Yeah, okay. Maybe he called Sam and like he answered the phone, but it doesn't seem like Sam's answering his phone and has voicemails.
Well, no, but the like there's something going on with Sam's phone.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
okay.
Oh yeah, Bobby's not mentioned again in this episode. He straight up told Dean not to be his father, then Dean disappeared in front of him. For all Bobby knows, he's dead for the rest of this. So, I mean, good last words. Sure, well done.
Yeah.
You did.
Is that... Does Bobby now end every conversation with, "I love you, son"?
Yeah,
so
just in case. Just in case. This is why they have so many conversations with their hand on their shoulder or their like collar. It's because like at any point they could possibly disappear because it's happened before.
And if you're going, I'm going.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, poor Bobby. He has no idea what's going on.
No. Unless an angel comes by and like Cass comes by and says we have him or something. But Cass is not that considerate right now.
Cass would not do that. No, not now. Because we saw this, like, as Bobby was talking to Dean, he's like looking at him, and then he pensively stared out of a window to contemplate not being his father anymore. And then when he turned back, he's somewhere different.
Mm-hmm.
He's in what could only be described as, I don't even know. Like, it's like a stately home in England. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's very lavish and opulent and gold and white and
Opulence.
Yeah.
It's
expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's white, it's gold. It makes you, I guess it's the image of heaven that, like, TV evangelists try and sell to you, right?
Yeah, I could see that. Or Catholic.
Yeah, you're right, it's quite Catholic.
Like, if you look at a Catholic church, they're usually pretty decorative and just like I'm thinking of the Vatican in particular, just because I went in their museum and it just looks like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, actually the difference is stark sometimes. So when you visit Europe, because obviously we don't really have any opulent Catholic churches anymore in England because history. Mm-hmm. But there are still some when you go to places like France and Spain and stuff, and it's just wild. You're like, why is all this gold here? Why is it just here? Like, that thing's made of like solid silver and it's like bigger than my living room. Like, why is it here? Yeah, that kind of Christian opulence. Dean is like kind of not impressed with it. He's kind of going around touching things. I can relate. I like going, just touch the top of the table. Like, oh yes, table. As he kind of does this, Cass appears in front of him and says,
"Hello, Dean."
"Hello, Dean."
I love that. I love that. Is this the first time that they do it? Like, this is said in this way?
I felt it. I don't know if it is, but this felt like the first time. And he says, "It's almost time." And it's like, oh. So we go to a hospital and we see the nurse that we saw in the last episode, who was Lilith's baby procuring, baby eating demon chef. Yeah, she steals a baby from some people. Like, she's obviously the nurse taking the baby to the nursery, and but she's stealing this baby, and she's singing like patty cake about putting the baby in the. I didn't know that patty cake was like a universal. I don't know why. I always assumed it was just a very English nursery rhyme, but I guess it's universal. And we see her eyes turn black, so she's clearly still a demon, as she was last episode. Luckily, she doesn't cook this baby because Sam appears and like smushes her against the wall with his demon powers. Ruby's also there. Ruby kind of takes a look back at the baby. I don't know why I noticed that detail, but she does. Like, the thing is, they're in like a hospital basement or something. So did they leave the baby there? Or do you think Sam just like rolled the baby back out into the hospital corridor or something?
I also have questions about this, and we do not have the answers.
No.
We do not have the answers. I think they left the baby there.
I do too. I feel like they're on an evil enough streak that they left that baby in that basement. I believe though the baby was found.
Yes. I agree. The baby was found. The baby was not harmed.
No babies were harmed in making this episode.
Yeah, like, because I was going to say maybe, like, Sam called the hospital and was like, hey, there's a baby in your basement. But I don't think he would have.
No. It's just weird. I don't know. It's just a weird one. We go back to Dean. I'm going to refer to this room as the green room because that's how Zachariah refers to it later on, so it just makes sense. He's looking at the paintings on the wall. He finds his favourite beer. The beer. You know what I'm going to say? Mm-hmm. It's El Sol, usually drunk when things are not as they seem in Supernatural. So, like, say you're in a gin dream or in heaven and it's a bit weird maybe. But anywhere that's not Earth, really.
And, I mean, it's clear that it's not because the room is really bright, but also the colour is very different from Sam, and Sam is in reality, and, like, it's much more blue and washed out, whereas Dean is in much more, like, warm light.
Do you think that the green room is in heaven?
I do.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like a large like thing of hamburgers as well. So it's all the things that Dean likes. Beer and hamburgers and women apparently, because Zachariah does offer that to him later too.
So the two like paintings of on the wall, not the middle one, but the two on the sides, they're done by a French painter, and one of them's called Blind Man's Bluff and the other one's The Swing.
Yeah.
Any significance to that, do you think?
I think the Blind Man's Bluff one, I mean, that's like, so you played that game, right, by being blindfolded and trying to like find someone in the dark. So I guess I'm going on my like English literature interpretation here. They're literally like scrabbling around in the dark for answers, which Dean's kind of doing at the moment. And then the other one, The Swing. I mean, like swinging from one side to the other, like, Cass, come on, man.
Yeah.
Don't know, what do you think?
I don't know. Because like the Blind Man's Bluff makes sense, you know, scrambling for answers in the dark. The Swing one, like the woman is like jovial on the swing, and there's like a whole bunch of men around her, like sort of admiring her.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
is Dean the lady on the swing?
Yeah, and the other one's like angels, like. Yeah, I'm not sure what I feel about that one. I didn't quite. They're done by the same artist.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the name. So yeah, and then we'll talk about the other paintings that come because they do change.
They do, yes, they do. So Zachariah appears as Dean picks up this beer and looks at it. He doesn't drink. See, Dean is smart. He doesn't eat or drink anything in this room, which is good fairy rules. You shouldn't eat or drink things in strange places.
Oh, how about this? The Sweet Life of Zach and Cass.
That's pretty fun. This is Kim Rhodes, but
Yeah, exactly. But we didn't know that was going to happen yet.
No, that's true. And he goes to explain what he meant by that, but then just like gives up.
Yeah.
Zachariah is calling this place a green room, and he says that they're closing in on the grand finale. They're wanting to keep Dean safe. He explains that the burgers they brought him are his favourite, like from a seaside shack in Delaware he had when he was 11. So they're on the inside of his brain, finding his favourite things. He also offers to bring Ginger from season 2 of Gilligan's Island with Marie Anne as well. But Dean does call that tempting but weird, and then makes a Star Trek reference and says, let's bail on the holodeck, okay? I want to know what the game plan is. I love the idea of the holodeck because at least they kind of acknowledge the fact in this that, like, people definitely use the holodeck for, like, sexual things in Star Trek, and it's never mentioned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you think this stuff isn't going down on the holiday, like...
I feel bad for the cleaning crew.
Me too. Me too.
Gross.
It's so gross. Zachariah's like, don't worry about anything. We want you focused and relaxed. And Dean says, well, I'm pissed and leaving, so start talking. And Zachariah explains that all the seals have broken except the last one. And Dean tries to make a joke with him about the Washington Generals, who I imagine have a bad sports thing.
Yeah, I have no idea.
No idea. Sports. And Zachariah's like, do you think that's appropriate considering you started all of this? Which, why are you mad about it, Zachariah? And he says that Lilith has to break the final seal. She's the only one who can break it, and it's going to happen tomorrow night at midnight. They don't know where. And when Dean says work harder, Zachariah says we'll do our job, make sure you do yours. And at this point, Dean asks, well, what is my job? Which he has a really good point, and I thought about this actually when I was watching the recap. Like, they've never explained how Dean's supposed to do anything. They explained, you know, he broke the first seal, and then have said that heaven has a plan for him. At no point has he been given any kind of inkling about what that might be.
No. And it's literally like, all they've ever said is that you'll stop it. Like the righteous man who begins it will end it, but like end what?
Yeah, end what, when, where, why, with what weapon as well. Mm-hmm. At least when they were fighting Azazel, they knew they had to get the cult in order to stop it. You know, like there was a goal.
Yeah.
But here it's just like really floaty, which is on purpose, but confusing for Dean. Also, he is quite willing to go along, kind of almost go along with it for the sake of Sam. So I'm surprised because Dean likes a solid plan.
He does. Even if the plan is not fleshed out or anything, he needs to know where he's going. Just he needs a direction to like shoot the gun.
Yeah, I can fully relate. I need to know where I need to be and at what time. And like I might be late, but I need to know that I should have been there.
I'm with you on that.
He asks, you know, how am I supposed to be the one that stops her with what, like with the knife or something? And Zachariah doesn't explain to him and just says, have faith.
Give me one good reason why I should.
Because you swore your obedience.
And Cass looks like, oh, guilty. I didn't mention it last episode. There was one thing about that like whole scene where Dean and Cass kind of like swear obedience. And it's so like marriage adjacent. It was a super weird scene, and I kind of realized it afterwards. I'm like, what is this even trying to say? Like,
do you know what's really funny? So like I said, I was doing some like research on how, the episode and all that stuff, and for some reason I just typed in Dean Winchester, right? It's Google, as you do.
Just type Dean Winchester. Yeah, okay.
And like it came up with suggested questions.
Yeah.
And one of them was, who's Dean Winchester's husband? I clicked on it because I was like, what? And it says Castiel Winchester. And I'm like, well, yes. And now that you've said it's vowels, I'm like, yeah, it happened in that last episode.
Yeah. Dean and Cass totally got married in the last episode.
Because obviously he's ordained because he's an angel.
Yeah. And, you know, angels can definitely officiate their own wedding. And, you know, Dean did all the things that they expect people to do when they get married in a religious setting, which is swearing obedience. And, yeah. So what I'm saying is basically they got married by accident. And that's why Cass is looking pretty guilty about this one. I mean, that would have been pretty funny. I'm just saying, if they had been married season 4 and then maybe not realised they were married until, I don't know, season 15. Like, that would have been a good plot point. But also, I want everyone else they meet who's a supernatural creature, so like demon and angel, to know they're married.
Mm-hmm. And but they have no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crowley definitely knew and was not happy about it.
Nope.
Anyway, Dean, you accidentally got Angel married. Sorry about it.
Yeah. You shouldn't be. You got a good angel there, so it's fine.
You picked the good one. So we go back to Sam and Ruby. Very much like, again, they're doing these parallels between this whole episode. We see Dean in this extravagant room with angels. We cut to Sam with 2 demons. You know, it's, yeah, again, not subtle. He has the nurse on a table and he's keeping her down with the force of his like brain alone. There's no devil's trap, and she remarks on that. And he's questioning her about where Lilith is.
I'm not scared of you.
Yeah, you are, actually. And with good reason.
The nurse makes a good point. She's like, well, if I tell you, you're going to kill me. If I don't tell you, you're going to kill me. And if I get away, Lilith's going to kill me. So what's the point in all this? And then Sam says, like, I think you should be worrying about what happens before you die. And she starts screaming as he's clearly like torturing her.
What was really annoying about this episode, so the previous scene with them just talking was really, really quiet. So I had to turn up the volume. Then it comes to this and so I'm not in my house yet.
Yeah.
I'm still away for work, and like there are people around me, and this woman is randomly screaming in pain. I'm like, ah! Like I had to lower the volume.
I did the exact same thing because my windows were open, and I was like, oh no, I better turn this down. It sounds like I'm murdering someone in my house.
Exactly.
Also, again, we're talking about parallels here. This is Sam's hell moment right?
Yeah.
You know, Dean's been a torturer in hell. Sam is with, like, there's a big fire in this room. He's with some demons torturing a lady. Like,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, again, like, it's exactly what Dean didn't want for him.
Corrupting his soul. In this episode, it's the only time that we see that what Sam has been doing has actually corrupted his soul.
I think so. Yeah, I agree with you. So we cut back to the green room. Dean is like pacing around the room like a tiger in a zoo.
Yeah.
And he decides to phone Sam. He's just like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And he leaves him a message, and he leaves him this message. Hey, it's me. Like, I'll get right to it. I'm still pissed, and I owe you a serious beatdown.
No, I'm not Dad. We're brothers. You know, we're family. And no matter how bad it gets, that doesn't change. Sammy, I'm sorry.
Really important in that, he said, I'm not Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
As well as I think he's trying to say, like, he says, I'm not Dad, we're brothers, we're family. Because he kind of knows that Sam looks up to him. I think he's trying to give him a bit more of an equal footing and being like, look, I'm not Dad, I'm also not your father. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
you know.
We're equals.
Yeah.
We're brothers. We're not... yes, I may be older, but that doesn't mean I'm always right as much as I want to be.
Exactly. So he leaves in this really kind of like heartfelt message about being sorry, and, you know, for Dean it's pretty heartfelt.
No, I felt it.
Yeah. So we go back to Sam, and she is agreeing to tell them if Sam lets her die, because this is pretty bad torture, and says where Lilith is going, saying that tomorrow night she's going to be at St. Mary's in Ilchester, Maryland, in a convent to break the final seal. And Sam asks her what the final season is, and she doesn't know. Like, it's clear she doesn't know. She's like crying and stuff. And when Sam goes to kill her, finally, Ruby stops him and says,
It's the final run on the Death Star, and you need more juice than I got.
of course Kripke had to put a Star Wars reference in here. Like, of course he did.
I mean, there was a Star Trek, there's got to be a Star Wars.
Literary symmetry. It's really not. Stop making the comparison. Star Trek and Star Wars are different genres. She says, you need more juice than I got. So, talking about drinking this nurse. The demon kind of settles it down and says, you know, well, you're not going to be able to crack me open that easily. She goes, do you know what I'm going to do? Like, I'm going to take a siesta in the subconscious, hand over the wheel for a bit, and calls down, like a game show, Cindy McClellan. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Sure, Cindy. Like, we see her change over to the human host of the vessel.
What I'm confused about is that Sam says, what are you talking about?
Yeah. He should know this.
He does know this.
Yeah.
He literally has been possessed.
Right? He knows. Maybe he didn't know that demons could hand control back like that.
They've seen it.
Have we seen that?
Yeah. Multiple times.
I thought they've only really seen it when they've been exorcised, that the person kind of comes back. I don't know if they could hand it back and forth.
I swear in like season 2, there was one where they'd captured a demon.
Yeah.
And they're torturing the demon, and they're like, oh, well, you know, there's this person inside here. Let me introduce you. And like,
I feel right as well. Kripke, this is your own show. Like, I guess he's more like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? Right? It's not actually, what are you talking about? It's, what you can't do that kind of thing. It's just a weird way of phrasing it. I'm going to go with that. I'll give him a pass.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I don't give him a pass. No, bad. So this Cindy lady obviously panics when she comes round because she can't move, and wants them to save her because she doesn't. Again, she should know what's going on, right? Because you get like a back
somewhat,
seat.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and Ruby's just like annoyed by this development because obviously it is going to make it harder to now drink her because Sam He's got to drink a human.
Yeah. Which he's been doing all along, surely.
Again, right? Yeah, it's different though, because like if you've got a demon like swearing at you like bloody and spitting evil stuff at you, it's kind of easier to kill them or drink them than a lady who's like begging for her life.
The thing is, right, Sam has really good demon powers, right?
Yeah.
Surely he has the power to bring forth the demon, like, from the subconscious. If he can kill Alistair,
Yeah.
he should have the power to take on this. It's probably admittedly a higher level demon, not like a grunt. But surely he has the ability to pull the demon back to consciousness.
Yeah, probably. But then it wouldn't be as dramatic.
And also, to counteract my own argument, he is trying to save up to kill Lilith.
Yeah, got to get those pennies in the bank, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, again though, he didn't. I mean, he says it later.
He was
but
torturing.
He could have just got another demon. Like, exercise this one, let the nurse go. Anyway, whatever. It's given him a moral dilemma that he has to work through in this episode. That is ultimately not a very difficult choice for him. It's supposed to show how far he's gone, right?
Mm-hmm. And do you know what's so crazy? Like, I feel like this is also the beginning of like, obviously at the beginning of this episode, he's having doubts about what he's doing. Mm-hmm. This is the next step in his doubts. But obviously Ruby's in his ear, like, nattering away.
Yeah.
And obviously other things happen. So he gets his resolve. But as much as he says, Dean is not as strong-willed as he is, he's not. Sam is just as weak. I say weak-willed. I don't really mean weak-willed, but like just as weak-willed as Dean.
Yeah. When it comes to like doing whatever it takes kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. They definitely moralize over it a lot. And ultimately end up usually making the decision that gets the most people killed, but okay. That's just the Winchester curse, like you can't help that.
I think that's the hero's curse.
Surely, yeah. Happens in a lot of shows.
We go back to a flashback of 1972, and Azazel is before the altar, and he's, all the nuns are around him. Maybe he rearranged the bodies, especially the one that's on the altar.
Yeah.
And it's like upside down, like his head's the woman's head's hanging off the edge of the altar. And he speaks to Lucifer.
I'm not exactly the praying type, but still. I made the sacrifice. I got your bag full of nuns. So, can you hear me?
This Lucifer doesn't feel like the Lucifer we start to know, because he says, "I'm here, my son."
I don't know.
But at the same time, Lucifer is very manipulative.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is he playing how Azazel would expect him to be? I think so.
He's playing how he thinks his father would talk to his followers.
You're right. Yeah, you're so right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Azazel's relieved that he can talk to Lucifer. The others have lost faith. Dickless heathens. Anyway, but not me. He asks, how do I bust you out? And Lucifer only responds with Lilith. Mm-hmm. It's as if like the door is closing, so he can't get anything else out.
Yeah.
Azazel asks, Lilith, she's trapped neck deep in the pit. It won't be easy. And Lucifer says, Lilith can break the seals. And Azazel asks, what do I do? And he says, you must find me a child, a very special child.
This is the first hint of what's coming in season 5.
It is. And the thing that I don't quite understand is now, like...
Why the other children? Look, I know it's a massive plot hole. I feel it's a massive plot hole because it's always supposed to be Sam.
And like, what does dropping demon blood into all these babies do?
So I think I feel like the demon blood, I don't know, because of what Ruby says at the end of this episode is very confusing now. I think the demon blood kickstarts the psychic powers. I feel like that's the only explanation I can get from this, is that it's some kind of like kickstarting their psychicness, but it's not actually required to maintain it, right?
Right.
But actually practice, and because they showed that, and you know, using the powers actually makes them stronger. I don't know. It would have almost been better, but I know they didn't know where the storyline was going. If maybe all of the like psychic kids were all younger siblings, right? If they all had older siblings as well, so it's like, well, actually, the story could have continued with any of them, but ultimately Sam came out on top, so he's now going to be the vessel, and he has an older brother, so it all works out for the story. And like that could have played into like Chuck's whole thing too, that he kind of had like a few running like mates to be the ones that did the showdown. But it's hard because they didn't know where the story was going when they were writing the psychic stuff. Because ultimately he's saying, I need Sam, but Azazel very clearly says that like in like season 2 that it could have been Jake or whatever. That was his name, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if, to try and like retcon it or like smush it into the storyline, because Lucifer's asking for a special child that like, okay, so each of the children that received the demon blood didn't all turn out to have psychic powers. So maybe the demon blood trigger like is all part of the same bloodline, like, so they're all very distantly related, so they're all like potential vessels, but Sam's the only one who could survive everything, so because he is the true vessel.
That's completely possible, actually. I mean, because we're saying, you know, the Winchesters are like a direct bloodline or whatever back to, fine. But that's not really how genetics works. So you're not just going to end up with 2 people who are like that related. Right. You could have like multiple people who are as genetic. Yeah, I actually think that's pretty good. I quite like that. I've never really thought of it that way before. That actually all of the psychic children have all stemmed from the same. That they all kind of go back to that point. That fish.
Yeah, exactly.
The important fish. They all go back to the same fish. Yeah. No, I actually think that works out really well. I mean, that also does mean that it literally, again, because of how genetics works, could have been anyone.
Yes. Technically, yes.
Like, how many people are genetically related to, like, Charlemagne? It's, like, everybody, right?
Something like that,
Something like that. Like, obviously not, but also they are. It's a numbers game, and it's a weird one. But yeah, no, I like that theory. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all potential vessels, but Sam is the chosen vessel.
And of course...
because of his environment.
Yeah, and this is it. Sam and Dean are the most interesting storyline. So of course they came out on top to be the vessels. You know, there were lots of contenders. And then, you know, Chuck realised what was the most interesting storyline. So they became the most interesting storyline.
Yep.
Oh, man. It just hurts my head.
and this is all like fandom meta. It's not even like in world canon. This is just us trying to make sense of all the mistakes that they made.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Trying to like retcon some stuff. But also, like, it kind of actually is canon, like actual show canon, because he says that you're my most interesting story, or whatever that line is from Chuck. Like, it's proven that the fan... No! Hates Supernatural so much.
Yeah.
It's really complicated. No, it's fine. But yeah, we'll get to Chuck in this episode.
Yes, we will. Everybody's making an appearance in this one.
I know. I saw Rob Benedict in the credits at the beginning, and I was like, I don't remember Chuck being in this episode. I was really excited.
He's in it for like a second.
Yeah.
you know, the last line is "what child," and then suddenly it cuts to Sam. Oh, is that the child? I think it's the child.
Just in case you weren't sure.
Sam is doing what he does best. Even on the road, hyped up on demon blood, he still has to research.
Yeah.
Because he finds out that in St. Mary's, which is what's abandoned in 72 after a priest killed 8 nuns, Ruby makes a joke.
What's black and white and red all over?
I thought it was quite funny.
It kind of is.
I like the way Sam says, like, it's not funny, and Ruby looks at him like, no, that was funny.
It's like, I'm hilarious. I should be doing stand-up. The priest said in his police interview, I guess, that it wasn't his fault. He said a demon made him do it, and that he remembered the demon's name, and it was Azazel.
Again, just showing how crappy John Winchester's research skills were. Because it's literally named. I mean, maybe they didn't make the yellow eyes connection, right?
Well, so he wouldn't have seen his own face. I don't think there was any mirrors, so he wouldn't have seen the yellow eyes. But still. Well, I mean, John didn't even know about, like, demon signs. John was not a good hunter.
He didn't find this article from, like, the 70s that, you know, around the time that his son got infected with demon blood. I mean, he doesn't know that, but, you know, looking for demonic activity maybe around the time that his house burnt down or whatever. Anyway, no, that was later. I'm making stuff up now, but you know what I mean. He's bad at research. John is bad at research.
Yes. He didn't do very good research either. Sorry, Sam. Because Azazel said that, like, a priest felt the angel presence and made a convent. Surely there would be an article. Maybe it was, you know, buried deep in the archives, and maybe it was burned and lost. Who knows? But surely somebody wrote down somewhere that a priest had this kind of experience and decided to build a church here because he felt holy presence, right?
Yeah. I get the thing. Yeah, it's a hard one, this, because it could be seen as like they're desecrating a holy site, like they were going to do something there that would cause the seal to open, rather than the fact that, like, the door is there. Like, maybe it just had to be like a certain type of place, because it's all kind of mixed up in each other, like the angel and demon stuff, like heaven and hell stuff. What is interesting is that demons can just possess priests, but, like, Latin exorcisms and, like, holy water works on them. I found that weird. You think they have some protection from, I don't know, a crucifix or something?
You would think so. I would think so.
But then again, it would be too easy. Sorry, I'm just disputing myself here. It would be too easy for Sam and Dean just to, like, get ordained and then never be able to, like, they could have just got ordained and been like, well, guess we're demon proof now.
Yeah, and, like, they would have to go through a tattoo session. So, okay, but the thing also is, priests are still human. Their downfall is having gold instead of iron.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's what you get for having a shiny church. You should have your iron church, and then demons wouldn't be able to get in, would they?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's almost like greed's a sin.
Yeah. Funny that, isn't it? So Ruby's like, okay, well, let's go. Like, let's pack up Nurse Betty and hit the road. And Sam's like, well, look, maybe we could do something else. Like, maybe we find another demon. And Ruby's like, well, you know, don't buy into that crap. Like, it's an act. She's playing you on. I'm just like, pot, meet kettle.
Yeah, that's true.
Sam is, you know, doubting. He's like, I'm not so sure. And Ruby says, even if she's not, there's still a hell bitch snoozing in there. I mean, come on. It's not like you haven't done this before, right? Sam.
I mean, yes, Sam, you have done it before. Ruby is 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was the whole issue with Ruby possessing somebody, and the whole reason why she got a comatose patient.
I guess it does show the progression of Sam's morals from the beginning to the end of the season, that like he was so against her just possessing some poor random lady. Now he's literally ready to murder some poor random lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Sam.
Poor Sam.
Ah, yeah. So what you're saying? Yeah, okay. Actually, I have something to say about that, and we'll come to it in a bit. And we've made allusions to it already, but yeah. So on the outside of the house, we see Sam just pulling this poor Cindy woman along, and she's trying to plead with him, and then she gets Crowleyed.
She does get Crowley. I thought about you saying that when she went into that trunk.
Because there's a demon, there's a devil's trap and everything. Like, it's 100% Crowleyed. There's no smoking out, there's no nothing. She is stuck in the back of that car. So we're back in the green room, and Dean is getting all frustrated and just poking at stuff. Like, I would do the same thing. Like, if you're trying to piss off the angels, destroy their priceless art.
Like, look through the drawers. Like, start messing stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. You might find an angel blade.
This is the moment that people point to, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they actually did this. And it's like, no, Kripke knew exactly what he was doing. It's not subtle. Because Dean, like, stands in front of this angel statue that's on a dresser and just with one finger, like, tips it over. And then as he does so, Cass appears behind him and says, "You asked to see me."
You asked to see me.
And it's like incredibly on the nose.
Yeah.
That angel literally fell from that dresser and Cass appeared. Like, anyway.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's not subtext.
Yep.
That's actual text.
That is actual text. That is actual text. Yeah, not subtle.
Dean
not
is literally
subtle.
tipping him over. Literally tipping. He is causing him to fall. Yeah. I'm not discrediting it. I think it's amazing, like visual storytelling. I think Kripke did outdo himself here, and there's a reason why that moment's like gift over and over again. And I do love it because it's just such a good shot of like Dean turns around, he looks guilty for having done it, and then Cass is there, and it's just like it just encapsulates their whole relationship. Oh, I accidentally made you fall. I feel a little bit guilty about it, but it's so fine because you're here now.
Not only full, but broke.
Damn it. Smashed on the ground.
Yeah.
What?
No.
What is that saying that they, like, from a deleted scene that Rowena says? Broken on the altar of Winchester.
Oh God, yeah.
I got that wrong, but it's that.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Oh dear. Yeah. So Dean is asking Cass for a favor. Anything you wish. It's like Princess Bride.
Yeah, Princess Bride.
I know it's not like the exact line, but like it's the same sentiment.
It's because they're married now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dean asks to see Sam because he needs to talk to him about, you know, what's going on, and like they need to make up. Cass wants to know the exact details of what they were going to talk about. Dean's being sarcastic. It's like the BM I took this morning. Like, what's it to you? Just make it snappy.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten what happened the last time you met?
No. That's the whole point.
I'm going to do whatever you mooks want. Okay, I just need to type one thing up. 5 minutes, that's all I need. And Cass just says no. Just no. Dean says, I'm trapped here. Fine. Okay, whatever. I'll just go see Sam.
I want to take a walk.
Fine, I'll go with you.
Alone.
No.
He says, you know what? I'm out of here. And he goes for the door. And Cass says, through what door? He turns around to look at Cass and turns back. And the door's gone.
Very Matrix. This is one of the first times Cass says, fine, I'll go with you. I know he says it in a different context, but just hearing him say that was like, I'll go with you. It hurts. It hurts so much. It hurts. It's painful. Yeah. No. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Are you the broken angel statue on the floor right
It's
now?
me, yeah. Dean broke me. Shattered. That was the word. It was shattered at the altar of Winchester. Just like that angel statue. Just like Cass. Oh, goddamn.
So we cut back to Sam and Ruby, and Ruby is driving. Sam's in the passenger seat looking at the one voicemail from Dean, and Cindy's in the back screaming. Ruby is mocking Sam, saying, "What are you, a 12-year-old girl? Just play it already." And Sam's like, "Mind your own business." Sam needs to stop saying this. He says, "God, I wish." No, let's not use any of those words together, ever.
Stop mentioning God. Stop mentioning God. Just stop it.
And wishes.
Yeah.
Like, no, let's... He's not going to do any of that for you. Just stop. So he wants Cindy to be quiet, and Ruby's like, "Well, it could be arranged, you know." She says, "All the demons you've cut with the knife, what do you think happens to the host? How is this any different?" They're basically getting into an argument over drinking blood and all this stuff. Like, surely this should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah, this conversation here where Sam's like, "Oh, this is different." It's like, it's not different. I think this is partly the problem. It's like Sam is coming to terms with what he's done, because this nurse is having to make him confront the fact that he's been drinking innocent people. Because she's literally in the back, like, screaming for her life. I don't know why it is now only dawning on him that the amount of people that he's killed. When at the beginning of this season, his justification for using his demon powers was that he was saving people by exorcising the demon rather than killing them with the knife. Again, it's just showing how far the manipulation has come and like how far his character has come, because he started this all out to save people, and now he's literally going to have to kill this woman who doesn't appear possessed by a demon, although she is at the moment.
And what's crazy is that Sam has never turned around to Ruby and said, "Look, you've got this comatose patient who was about to die. Let me drain her. You find another person."
Yeah.
Like, he could literally be taking Ruby over and over again. That sounds wrong. Literally could be taking her blood over different, essentially dead patients.
Yeah.
But instead, Ruby has convinced him that he needs to go to other demons instead of just exorcising them.
And it's been a gradual process. And
yeah,
again, they've done the same thing with Dean as they have with Sam, in that it's a step-by-step process into making them do things that are more and more uncomfortable with. So, you know, Sam started off by probably just drinking Ruby's blood. I can see that happening. And then it was stepped up to like, oh, just take a bit of blood from this demon, to the point where he's having to like drain whole demons and like kill the host. Yeah, it's been the same with Dean, like step by step. First of all, they were telling him that he's like the chosen one and all of this, to getting him to basically agree his obedience to heaven at the end of the season. Yeah. I just think it's just they've been manipulated through this whole season. Here we go. The theme of the season is manipulation and betrayal.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Sam is finally relenting to Dean's point of view. He says, "I don't know, I was just starting to think that maybe Dean was right and about everything." And Ruby says, "We got to see this through, right? Sam? Cindy continues to be screaming in the background as we like focus on Sam's face. It's like, yeah, and I don't know.
Ruby is quite insistent that they're like going to see it through. Like, whatever we're doing, we got to go finish it. So, bad Ruby.
Yeah, bad Ruby. Naughty. So we're back at the green room, and Dean is using a statue or pedestal or something to
I thought it was a candlestick. I don't know why.
I don't know what it was. It was something. It was heavy, and he's bashing at the wall. And as he goes for like another hit, the wall's fixed itself. So it's just endlessly trying to break this door.
Perfect for Dean.
Yeah. Oh yeah, desperately trying to find an exit. Oh, is that a narrative thing? Is he desperately trying to break the narrative? and it keeps repairing itself.
Yes. Nothing more to add to that. Yes.
Oh, I hate this show.
He's literally like, what's the phrase? Literally like clawing at the walls of his enclosure, trying to get out of the destiny, the narrative they have for him, and it's just constantly fixing itself. God damn it, Kripke.
I was going to ask, do you think the green room is outside of the narrative? But no, it's not.
No. 100% they're supposed to be there, and I think Chuck is seeing this.
Yep. Or has seen it.
Yeah.
Or technically has written it rather than seen it, because he is God. Well, okay, so I'm still with you on the fact that Chuck is God, wrote himself as a prophet, so became a prophet.
Yeah.
But then he wrote himself to be God again. Yep, I'm right there with you. I think that's what happened. The angels love to compare humans to like animals and insects and stuff. Because Zachariah comes in and says, "Quit hurling feces like a howler monkey. It's unbecoming."
They've literally, I guess they kind of watched humans evolve and stuff, so maybe they still see them as like just animals.
Yeah, primitive.
Yeah.
Dean wants to be let go, and Zachariah says, "It's
Like I told you, too dangerous out there. Demons on the prowl.
I've been getting my ass kicked all year. Now you're sweating my safety? You're lying. I want to see my brother.
That's ill-advised.
I do love the way that Zachariah speaks. I don't know why. It's just very like, it's very distant. It's very cold. It's very angel, but not like it's modern angel.
It's like
Cass.
middle management angel.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Dean's finally fed up. He says, I'm sick of your crap riddles and your smug face. What the hell's going on? Why can't I see Sam? How am I going to ice Lilith? Zachariah says, "You're not." And he finally explains that Lilith is the final seal.
One of the first of many revelations in this episode.
Yeah. The thing is, this like Lilith will break the final seal. Has been said for 4 episodes now that like surely you're thinking about what that means.
Yeah.
That this sort of like okay, actually, Zachariah actually just says she's going to break the final seal, not that she is. Yeah, so Dean's confused and says, but me and Sam, we can stop it. And he starts to realize that the angels, or Zachariah anyway, doesn't want to stop it. And he says, nope, never did. The end is nigh. The apocalypse is coming to a theater near you. The whole reason why they had sent out angels to save the seals was just to make it look like they were trying to stop the apocalypse, to avoid a rebellion. There was no way that the 65 seals could be broken if they didn't want it to be that way. This should alleviate some of Dean's guilt, surely. They must have known that Dean was going to break the seal and probably had enough time to get to him, but they had to wait for him to do it. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Because he says the 65 seals. Because that's 66, including the first one.
That's true. Yeah, I never really thought of that, actually. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But the actual angels that were sent to save Dean weren't aware that they wanted to be there in time. But you're right.
But they couldn't have been sent out in time.
Yeah, maybe they were never sent in time. So, because if you think about it, they arrived a decade after Dean had already broken. Were they sent as soon as Dean died? Or did they wait? I
waited.
think you're right. They
think they waited.
Which, again, it also takes some of the burden off Cass, because he kind of does blame himself for like not being able to get there in time to not have the seal broken, and because he kind of apologized to Dean for that. Yeah, damn. I'm like, I never really thought of that before, but you're right. Like, they fully orchestrated Dean also breaking in hell by not sending the angels quick enough. Cass was never going to be able to save him.
Right.
Yep.
Evil sons of bitches.
That's right.
Dean asks why do they want to start the apocalypse. Zachariah gives a non-answer. It's like, well, it's a bad name. Puts people off. Mm-hmm. Basically, they want to start a war because they like their chances and sort of making paradise on Earth.
It's the same motivation as in Good Omens. The angels think they can win because they feel they're superior to the demons. Mm-hmm. So why not have the apocalypse?
Exactly. And Dean says, well, what about all the people during your little pissing contest? Zachariah's like, well, when you got to make an omelette, you got to crack a few eggs, in this case, truckloads. Mm-hmm. But you get the picture.
This isn't the first planetary enema we've delivered.
And we kind of know that's true as well from like the multiverse. Mm-hmm. So, now.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Dean is like looking at the statue on the mantelpiece and he's like, you probably shouldn't try and bash my skull in. That wouldn't be pleasant for you. Dean confronts him and says, well, what about Sam? He's not going to go quietly. He'll stop Lilith. Zachariah says, well, Sam has a part to play, a very important part. He may need a little nudging in the right direction, but I'm sure he'll play it. Zachariah is sort of, being very dismissive, like, forget about Sam. Mm-hmm. You have larger concerns. Why do you think I'm confiding in you? You're still vital, Dean. We weren't lying to you about your destiny, just omitted a few pertinent details. You're still chosen. You'll still stop it, just not Lilith or the apocalypse, that's all. Mm-hmm. And as this conversation has started, the paintings in the room have suddenly changed from like light and happy to these very like dark, like battle scenes.
Yeah.
And Zachariah points to one in particular, and it's of Michael slaying the dragon. Mm-hmm. The dragon being Lucifer. And Zachariah explains, Lucifer, you're going to stop Lucifer. When it's over and when we've won, your reward will be unimaginable. Peace, happiness, 2 virgins, and 70 sluts. Ugh, can we not?
Yeah, can we not, please? Like, whatever. Oi.
Where's God in all this?
In a ramshackled house.
Yeah.
Zachariah said, God has left the building.
So, the angels, up to a point then, the upper management angels know that God's gone.
Yeah.
And they've known for a while. So, yeah, why not kickstart the apocalypse? Maybe it'll get his attention. That's what I always thought.
I thought they even say that they did the apocalypse to get his attention.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right? They're trying to get they're trying to do what they think their absent father wants them to do, just like everyone else in this show. Yeah, the Saint Michael and the dragon thing is
It's funny because this is not the first time that Michael has been pointed out as Dean. Like it happened in season 2. Exactly. I remember that.
Yeah, I fully remember it. So I'm just surprised that no one else is connecting any dots at the moment, including maybe Cass has an inkling. I think he must know. So I wonder at what point Cass knows. I think he knows now.
At what point did he know that the apocalypse was supposed to happen?
So he knows that. That's what he was going to tell Dean when they
in
were
the
gonna
rapture.
Meet up. Yeah.
So I think he doesn't know yet because they've seen how he's interacting with Dean. Mm. And that's why he went for re-education. Yeah. Because they have to try and get him back on his side before they reveal what their actual plan is. So I don't think he knows yet.
I don't think he does either. But yeah, he knows that the angels are actively trying to start the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go back to St. Mary's, which is very much abandoned now. It looks pretty, cobwebby. Mm-hmm. And we see Lilith appear. She's wearing, a white dress. I thought she was kind of dressed as a bride.
Yeah, she does look like that.
But also, the white dress is also very sacrificial, not just in Supernatural, but in, horror movies generally, right? The woman who's going to die is usually dressed in some kind of white nightgown or white dress to symbolise her purity of heart, which we know Lilith isn't. So,
yes,
could be a play on that also. A guard confronts her and she says she's here for mass, and her eyes go white as the guard screams. So another one bites the dust. Yep. Back in the green room, Dean's trying to call Sam again, but this time he dials and he doesn't hear anything at all. Cass appears and says, you're not going to be able to reach him. We're outside your coverage zone. Mm-hmm. This is kind of implying as well that his voicemail never went through because Hal was able to send that earlier.
That's true.
When Dean asks what they're going to do to Sam, Cass says nothing. He's going to do it to himself. Oh, this scene, man. They're stood together but apart. Like the way the camera, it has both their faces on the screen on like opposite sides. It's very close in. I love it very much.
Good job, Cookie.
Yeah. Cass is like not looking at Dean through a lot of this, and he looks back and forth to him. Cass looks down, and I think it's at this point. There's a point in this conversation where Cass looks down and Dean moves his head to like regain his eye line and like brings it back up.
I think it's a little bit
I
further
think
down.
it's later too as well, actually. But there's a point in this, and I don't know. I found it very, very, very good.
It was very good.
It's very good. It's very good. It's just it shows a familiarity and also like Dean's acknowledgement that Cass doesn't look at him maybe when he's like feeling guilty or lying or so. And I feel like Dean also knows that when Cass looks him directly, he's more likely to tell the truth. I don't know. There's something there, right? Yeah. Anyway, Dean's like, "Oh, right, you've got to toe the company line." And Cass says here, like, "We've been through much together, you and I wanted to say I'm sorry it ended like this." Oh, yeah, you're right. It's later because he punches him here. So Dean says sorry and punches him, and it makes like almost like a Tin Man noise.
Yeah, it does.
And like Dean turns away in like a properly comedy moment, like flexes his hand like it really hurt. And he says like, "It's Armageddon, Cass, you're going to need a bigger word than sorry." Cass says, "Try to understand, this is long foretold. This is your..." And he's like, "No, it's not my destiny. Go away." He's like, "It's all a bunch of lies, you poor stupid son of a bitch. It's just a way for your bosses to keep me and keep you in line."
You know what's real? People. Families. That's real. And you're gonna watch them all burn?
Do you think he's talking to Jimmy Novak at this point a little bit?
No, I absolutely 100% think he's speaking to Cass. I do. And this is why. Dean taught Cass about free will. I don't know, this speech is like, I don't know, there's something in it where it's him just explaining to Cass that he doesn't have to follow orders and he says, what's real? Like, destiny isn't real. What is real? It's people and families. And like, Cass just took that and ran with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He even kind of parrots this back to Dean. Dean brings him back to like what's real a few times in this show. And this is one of those times. This was the first time. It means a lot to me. Cass does argue back with him and say like, "I see nothing but pain here. Like I see inside you your guilt, your anger, confusion."
In paradise, all is forgiven. You'll be at peace. Even with Sam.
I got finale anger from this line.
Yeah.
Dean says, "You can take your piece and shove it up your ass." And ain't that the truth? Yep.
Yep.
He says, "I'll take your pain and your guilt. It's a lot better than being some Stepford bitch in paradise."
This is almost like the conversation that that Dean had with Anna.
Yes, it
in
is.
Heaven and Hell. But Dean is wanting to fight against the pain and the anger and the confusion. And Anna's saying, well, no, all of those things are beautiful because they're human.
Yep.
And Dean is saying to Cass here, no, like, these things are good. They're not, then it was almost, again, what Bobby said, like, it's miserable, but they're family.
Yes. Yeah. It's all about the human experience. He's asking Cass here to kind of be more human, right? Like, understand my point of view. You don't have to give in to... He even says here, like, I'll take Sam as it is. Like, I'll take the pain, I'll take the guilt. And then he says, like, no more crap about being a good soldier, which is him railing against being his father. He says there's a right and a wrong here, and you know it. It's a lot... This is a lot of character development for Dean, just to say... And I think he's also realised that heaven probably isn't all it's cracked up to be. This paradise that they're talking about, well, what good is it if people like Zachariah are in charge? Right. Who are willing to sacrifice millions, billions of people to win an argument, like win a fight. Cass turns away from Dean and Dean turns him back and says, look at me. He says, you know it, you were going to help me once, weren't you? You were going to warn me about all of this before they dragged you back to Bible camp. Help me now, please. And he's right, yeah, Cass was going to tell him about the angels wanting to start the apocalypse before he got re-educated. Cass asks, what would you have me do? Dean wants to go to Sam, and Cass is like, well, we'll all be hunted, we'll all be killed. And Dean says, if there's anything worth dying for, it's this. When Cass doesn't look at him, he calls him a spineless, soulless son of a bitch. What do you care about dying? You're already dead. We're done. When Cass tries to get him, he's like, we're done. And Cass has disappeared.
Breakup number 1.
Breakup number 1. They only just got married and they're already arguing. They're already having their big fight. Cass is like a little angel sponge. Because everything, and you can tell he really looks up to Dean, because everything he says here about no more crap about being a good soldier, it's all about family, it's all about right and wrong, all of this kind of stuff. Cass just takes it all and is like, yeah, all right. I mean, it takes him a moment here, but he gives up everything for Dean because of this like speech about destiny being crap. Yeah. So we go back to Sam, and he is at a sign that says that St. Mary's Convent is 2 miles away. Cindy's still screaming, Ruby's near the trunk, and Ruby's like, are we doing this or not? Sam is thinking about it. This is, he's going to have to kill this lady, and she's probably going to be screaming and begging and crying, and it's going to be bad. He gets his phone out from his pocket.
Do you think he finally listens to the message because he's like, is this what Dean went through in hell?
I think partly, and also he's looking for some outside guidance that's not Ruby pacing behind him. Because he gets out his phone and he listens to the voice message that Dean sent him, except it's not the same voice message that Dean sent him about being sorry and then wanting to be brothers again, and it's him calling him a freak. Dad always said I'd have to save you or kill you, which is technically not true. It was more just kill your brother if he's bad. He says he's done saving him. He calls Sam a vampire. He says, you're not you anymore. There's no going back. The worst thing about this is Sam believes it. He believes Dean could leave him this message. He doesn't question it. He just believes that he could do it.
Because his hallucination said the exact same thing in the previous episode.
Yeah. It's what Sam thinks of himself in this moment. And he's like, well, if that's what everybody thinks I am, guess I'm going to go be that. Sam clearly looks remorseful, but agrees to do it. I mean, Ruby ends up killing this woman, not Sam, because she has the knife and Sam says to do it. Which I guess small mercy for Sam here. He's still drinking that blood, though.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
Kripke neither confirmed or denied who messed with the voicemail. Who do you think it was? Zachariah or Ruby? I think it was Ruby. Just because the way that she smirks behind his back.
I always thought it was Zachariah.
I could be persuaded it could be Zachariah because I don't think Ruby has the juice to do something like that. And she needs to do spell work, whereas angels generally don't seem to do that. They just be able to change reality however they want or just do what you want. The only reason why I really do think it's Ruby is because I don't think Zachariah's been around Sam enough to know what Sam needs to hear to go through with this.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Ruby does look particularly smug, right? So I could believe that is her. If we had been shown a way that she could have done this as well, but we're fine. I always just assumed it was the angels because Zachariah had gone and they're trying to pick up the pace kind of thing that they're watching. But it makes more sense for it to have been Ruby to push him over that line, the finish line. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I'm sure they are watching, right? The angels are watching what's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would get too involved because they don't really want to make it known to the demons that they want this to happen.
Yeah. Again, the smirk from Ruby could just be getting a bad message from Dean is kind of confirming what she already thinks about Dean, right? She doesn't have a high opinion of him, so she'd be like, well, yeah, he's helping me out here. He doesn't know how much he's helping me out here. That's really funny. Yeah, It could have been either. It could have been both. Like, you know, it's...
And does it really matter?
It doesn't really matter because they're both working towards Sam ultimately doing this, drinking all that blood and using his powers on Lilith. So really it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that they are manipulating him, and it's finally showing in the actual narrative that he is being manipulated, that it's not actually all Sam's free will that's making this happen, because you then question, well, what other interactions have they twisted between them to help push them further apart? And although they have been arguing, it seems to have been ramping up for sometimes like no particular reason. So you wonder how much manipulation from heaven and hell has there really been in this season? And what situations have they set up as well to kind of make that happen? Was sex and violence all just a big setup by heaven and hell to make them fight more?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still confused at why a siren is in the middle of the country, not near any water. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is plunked a siren. Yeah. But maybe everything from the point of Dean coming back from hell has been orchestrated, like the cases they were on, all that kind of stuff. So we go back to Dean, and he looks at the hamburgers and he thinks about taking one. I don't know if this is symbolic or not. It felt it. Kripke doesn't do much for no reason. Like...
So there is like an implication that it's the forbidden fruit, because Adam does eat from the table and then he becomes Michael's vessel.
Oh yeah, I like the forbidden fruit analogy, because he did, like, that's, I mean, he clearly wasn't gonna drink the beer or eat the hamburger. Like, he knows the fairy rules. You don't eat the stuff or they have you trapped. That is like a bargaining chip. By accepting the hospitality, you have to give up something. I think it's symbolic of him. I don't know though, because he just had this massive fight with Cass, but maybe with seeing no way out, it's like, I think it's Dean being accepting of his situation. I like the idea of the forbidden fruit thing. Why is a hamburger? Anyway,
because it's what Dean would want.
It's true. He's not going to eat an apple, is he? Like, it should have been an apple pie. If they were going to go full forbidden fruit,
that's true.
That should have been an apple pie right there.
Maybe it was too obvious, and maybe it was too much for... Because I feel like Dean can resist a burger, especially one from when he was 11. I doubt he remembers that. But, like, an apple pie, he's always going to go for an apple pie.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be, like, the best fruit, right? It's supposed to be, like, tempting. So it should have been something that was, like, really tempting. I want him to bring, like, full fork up to his mouth, ready to bite that apple. And he was going to... And then Cass breaks the narrative.
Yep.
So Cass appears behind Dean before he takes a bite of anything and slams him against the wall. Very nice.
Yes.
He presses a hand in over his mouth as well to stop him from, like, shouting out, and shows him that he's got the knife. It's Ruby's knife, right?
Yeah.
They look at each other and Dean realises what's happening and kind of nods at him, and Cass, like, lets him go. Cass then cuts his forearm. I mean, he's an angel. This one's more acceptable. Takes the blood and starts, like, putting it on the wall in the angel banishing sigil. He gets a lot of blood out of that very small cut.
He's pumping his fist like nobody's business.
They never show how hard that is to do. Like, as he's drawing it, Zachariah appears behind him and shouts at him, like, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Which is funny. As he finishes it up, he grabs Dean and slams his hand on the wall with the other bloody hand. There's a big flash of light, and Zachariah vanishes.
He won't be gone long. We have to find Sam now.
Dean says, "Where is he?" And Cass, "Well, I don't know, but we have to stop him, Dean, from killing Lilith." Dean's confused because Lilith's going to break the final seal, and Cass reveals what he knew all along.
Lilith is the final seal. She dies, the end begins.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, yeah, Cass knew more than he was letting on, but he's doing the right thing, and he's free will, Cass. You did it! I'm so proud of you. So proud of my angel son. Something. Like...
So we cut to Chuck's house and we see his computer, and it's got Supernatural Lucifer Rising by Carver Edlund. Chuck's on the phone. Organizing. an orgy.
I mean, I realised why. First of all, I thought he was just being kind of like slimy, creepy. I don't know why it just came across that way. And then I thought, oh no, wait, he thinks the world's ending. He wants to go out with a literal bang.
Oh. Yes. Yeah. Because Chuck does say, lady, sometimes you got to live like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. Which, there's no tomorrow. He knows there's no tomorrow because he's just finished writing Lucifer Rising.
Yeah, exactly. Cass and Dean arrive, like are right in front of him, and Chuck says, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. And the woman on the phone is like, sir, and he's like, no, lady, this is definitely supposed to happen, but I'll call you back.
This is good.
Yes. So we quickly cut back to the convent. Lilith is at the altar, being, I don't know, cultish and
Lilithy.
Yeah. He hands her like a chalice of blood. Lilith says, don't be afraid, we're going to save the world. She turns away as the guy walks away. There's a rumbling noise. She turns back and all of her like minions are like dead on the floor. And Sam walks around the corner looking all like final boss. Lilith raises her hand and shuts the door between her and Sam, making it look like this, whatever ritual she's about to do is the final seal. Like, it's all acting, right?
Yeah, it's all acting. This is the thing. Oh. Unless there was some kind of preparation involved. I don't know, maybe. But like,
probably
she
not.
had to do something. But all of it's been an act. Like when she came to him in Monster at the end of the book and was like, I don't want to die. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then we're back at Chuck's house.
St. Mary's, what is it, a convent?
Yeah, but you guys aren't supposed to be there. You're not in this story.
Yeah, well, we're making it up as we go.
And as he says this, he looks at Dean.
Oh, how did they know that this was good? I'd like this stuff drives me wild because how did they know that the whole free will thing was going to be like the main point of Supernatural? And I don't know. The implication that Cass is the only one who can break out of the narrative, and he does it because of Dean. And then to not make any kind of connection between those two things and like romantic feelings and making it canon is wild to me. I mean, no, actually, no, I'm taking it back. It's very canon that Cass has feelings for Dean. It's extremely canon.
It is.
But for them to not, I think, resolve that storyline is wild. And I wanted the literary symmetry of Dean teaching Cass free will and, Cass breaking the narrative because of that, effectively, saving Dean over and over again. I just wanted the symmetry at the end of the Supernatural of Dean saving Cass and breaking him out of that final narrative that he got stuck in, Because Cass did get stuck in a narrative. I'm going off on one now. He got stuck in that like storyline of, you're going to go to the empty if you're happy. And I think it would have been perfect symmetry for Dean to
save him.
To save him from that. And to break him out.
Mm-hmm. To grip him from perdition.
Right? Yeah. But this is it, that we're making it up as we go. Beautiful. Amazing. One of the best lines in the show. And it is reiterated later on as well. Also to Chuck.
Yeah. After he says this line, we cut to Chuck's computer screen and it starts to like glitch out. And I read that as his story getting messed up.
Yes.
Like your computer glitches and you haven't saved it and the whole thing's about to get erased. But I guess it was supposed to be because an archangel was about to arrive.
No, you're right.
I am right.
Screw the narrative.
And Chuck's like, oh no, not again, no. And Cass is yelling because obviously it's quite loud. He's like, I'll hold him off. I'll hold them all off. Just stop Sam. Cass, I love you. I love you so much. Oh, it's such a great moment. It's such a great moment.
Again, sacrificing himself for the Winchesters. That's what Cass is. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm. Cass touches Dean's forehead and teleports him away.
I love this shot. I really loved it because like he puts his whole hand on Dean's face, and then we see him appear at St. Mary's before the hand goes away again. I don't know why, I just loved that. I don't know, it was just good. We don't really normally see them being teleported, but I don't know why that was really good to me. That, like anyway.
And then we're back at Chuck's house, and Chuck and Cass are stood side by side, and Chuck put his hand on Cass's shoulder. Cass looks at the hand and is like, what are you doing? And he drops it. It's like, oh, sorry.
I get this, oh gosh, look, I could go crazy if I talk about this, but like the implication of this, Cass is really Chuck's favourite angel, right? I know later on he gets frustrated with Cass because he keeps messing up his story, but at this point he's come along and like made it interesting. Suddenly there's a wild card that is unpredictable, is going to mess up the stories in a way that Chuck can't predict. So I read this moment almost as, haha, like, good for you, kid.
It's almost like a proud thing, because they do that a lot.
Yeah.
Like a father putting a hand on the shoulder, like, I'm proud of you, son.
Yeah, just a reading of some of this stuff later on, like doing a rewatch of it is wild and gives you kind of brain rot, but
Absolutely.
Yeah. At this point, like, Cass is Chuck's absolute favourite thing in the world because he's managed to surprise him and make the story different to what it was going to be. And at the moment, that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Chuck's okay with that because it's still ultimately leading to the story that he's writing. But eventually that will not be the case.
Yeah, the annoying thing about this episode is that ultimately Cass's actions don't make a difference to what plays out immediately, which is a bit frustrating. Like there wasn't, you know, Dean does get teleported to the event and then doesn't do much, which is a shame. I feel like it should have messed with the narrative a little bit more, but then maybe wouldn't have had some of the stuff happening in season 5. So, hey, I can be frustrated with along with Chuck, I feel.
Well, so that's what I'm saying with the domino effect. In the same way that, like, Sam and Dean have both been gently manipulated into the point where their small actions are suddenly huge.
Yes.
This is the same for Cass. These small little moments, you know, the first one being like, well, I can't technically do anything, but this is what you could do.
Yeah.
That was the first step. The second step was, oh, I'm going to tell you an important secret. And then this next one is like, well, I'm going to completely disobey my direct orders. So it's like slowly little things until it gets to the point where, like, these little things don't really make a difference right now until the bigger steps happen and really change the direction of the story.
You're right, actually, because yes, okay, it still happens how it was kind of supposed to happen, right? I know we're stepping ahead a little bit, but I think it's a good place to have this conversation anyway. Things still play out as they should have, but Dean is there. And I wonder if he hadn't been there, whether it would have driven a further wedge between them and things would have played out differently in season 5 as well.
Well, Ruby would have been there to guide, I say guide in quotation marks, Sam as to the next steps.
That's true. So yeah, you're right. It's little things. It looks like they didn't have a big impact at the end of this episode, but I think you're right. I'm with you. I like it. I do. Yeah. Yeah.
So Sam has managed to open the door with his psychic powers and flings Lilith across the room onto the ground against the altar. Ruby is behind him and, like, egging him on, essentially. Dean comes around the corner and sort of witnesses all of this. But Sam is not paying attention. He's so laser focused on Lilith. But Ruby sees him and turns around and closes the door in his face. And the look on her face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, she's a baddie.
She's a baddie. Like, Dean always knew.
Yep.
From the get-go. So Sam says to Lilith, who's now, like, pinned against the altar in a very weird way. I was talking about this before we started recording. Like, it's male fantasy. It's done. She
looks like kind of like Bride of Dracula almost. I don't know. Yeah. Very horror movie, damsel in distress. I guess in this case they have twisted it a bit because she's the big bad, but okay.
Yeah. Like, her arms didn't need to be up in that way. Like, they could have literally been, like, pinned. They could have still been pinned to her side, but, like, I don't know, on the ground or something. It's the whole, like, she's on the ground with her hands up. Like, I'm such a maiden. Oh.
Yeah, she looks too... I know what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, here you go. It's the illustration that's used inside this issue of Lucifer Rising, like the romance illustration.
It's the romance novel cover. Yeah, you're right. This is the book. This is what the Carver Edlund book. Yeah, you're right. That's the picture they use. My goodness. Yes.
And Sam says, I've been waiting for this for a very long time, which no, he hasn't. It's been a maximum 2 years, because it wasn't any time before, like, season 2, because they didn't know who Lilith was.
Yeah. 2 years is a long time when you're young and drinking demon blood.
I guess if you're a Winchester and you know you could die at any minute, maybe that is a long time.
2 years is a long time in Winchester time. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So he uses his powers and he starts to kill Lilith. Mm-hmm. We hear like this sort of heartbeat in the background, but we also hear Dean's voice in the sound, and he's yelling out for Sam. Sam turns around to look at the door, and it's all very like slow-mo, very like... I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest.
Considering this... No, I've got to say it. Considering this is the climax of the season, right? Like, this is what we've all been building to, is Sam killing Lilith. This was as cheesy as heck. And yes. I appreciate it. It feels peak Supernatural.
Yeah, I don't think Robert Singer himself could do a better job, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. Like, there's zooming in of faces. There's, like, cutting between heartbeat sounds. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I will give you some credit, Kripke. I don't know how else you can kind of show telepathic powers for that length of time to make it, like, dramatic.
Yeah, without slowing it all down.
Yeah, without doing the slow-mo. But again, slow-mo just always makes me think of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and I've brought it up before, and the line they say, it's like, oh yeah, we had loads of slow-mo to the episode because we were filming it and we found out we were like 10 minutes short, so we just went back and put loads of stuff in slow-mo. Oh, please. Look, if you're a fan, I don't care, I'm saying it again, I know I've said it before. If you watch Supernatural and you've never watched Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, please watch it, because it fits this so beautifully.
So I will say the difference though is that this feels purposeful. Like the slow-mo that we've seen by Robert Singer in like Croatoan, that was dumb.
That wasn't good. Yeah, that felt a bit like, why
stretching for time.
Yeah. This did feel, no, you're right, this did feel like it was intentional to add tension to the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the heartbeat thing.
Well, we've heard that sound before when he killed
Sam Hain.
Yeah, Sam Hain.
Yeah.
So I think it's just to indicate that like it's taking a lot of stress.
When else do they show like have heartbeat noise in TV stuff? It's usually in high like tension moments when it involves a lot of concentration, right? That makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's what this is. Okay, fine.
I'm making all the excuses for Kripke.
What they should have done, right? I'm directing this episode better now. I'm doing it. Sorry, Kripke. Mm-hmm. I looked away like he was here. Is they should have slowed everything down, right? And had Sam doing the hand thing, and then they should have cut to Dean like banging on the door like slow-mo, like, no, Sam. And they should have played Dean's theme.
Oh God, no.
Imagine it in your head. Imagine the slow-mo. Yeah.
Yep.
See? I can emotionally devastate you better than any man.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I guess, yeah, so Sam's not really hearing anything. He's so focused on killing Lilith. Mm-hmm. He stops, hears Dean, looks around in confusion, turns around and says, Dean? And then Ruby is also there, and he's like, she's speaking in slow-mo. She's like... And then it comes back to like normal time because Lilith's laughing and she says, you turned yourself into a freak, a monster, and now you're not going to bite. I'm sorry, but honestly, that's adorable. So this is why I think, or another reason why I think Ruby did the voicemail, because using the freak monster, like that kind of language.
And saying that, Lilith has the juice to do that, and you know they're
Yes.
working in cahoots. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Hal sent it.
The heartbeat sound quickens and Sam turns back around to Lilith, clearly like thinking this is right. Not questioning why Dean is there, but okay.
He's in the zone. He's in the demon zone.
Yeah, he's in the Winchester zone.
Same difference.
And as he's concentrating, his eyes turn black and Lilith dies.
Which I'm so glad Dean didn't see. Sam's eyes turn black.
Yeah. Sam's eyes then return to normal, and then the heartbeat stops. So,
Right.
Chuck pointed it out in his episode, right?
Yes.
About literary symmetry. Sam has spent the last year torturing humans,
Yes.
drinking blood, which we know in a little bit didn't need to happen. He talks about it being a very long time. This was his hell arc. He has been torturing souls,
Yes.
demon souls and human, because he's also killed them for the past year.
Yeah.
And he turned himself into a demon to be like Dean.
Oh man, you're right. Yeah, no, that's totally true. That's totally true. He is playing out Dean's character arc.
Yep.
Yeah. But he doesn't have anyone to raise him from perdition.
Nope. He just has people dragging him further down.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue Dean helps Sam a little bit, but not really. When you think about what's happening and going to happen in season 5, like, yeah, you're right. We're seeing it play out what happened to Dean if he hadn't been saved as well, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, that's really good. I've never really thought of that. That's no, that's awesome and horrible.
Yeah. Because there's multiple points in this. Like, because Ruby knows who Alistair is.
Yeah.
So she knows how to it's clear that she knows how to manipulate souls. She knows how to torture people.
Yeah.
She was like his mentor. Same way Alistair was for Dean.
Yeah. It totally works. It totally works as like a parallel between them. But yeah, there's no one to drag him out. See, because you need someone able to break your destiny, break your narrative in order to do that. Like, I don't know, some kind of true love thing? I don't know.
Something like that.
Something like
Sounds
that.
about right.
Something, you know, fairy tales. Yeah, just trying to think where this all goes, you know? Like with the parallels between them, and you're right, this is completely Sam playing out Dean's hell experience. Almost like the thing that broke Sam as well was Dean going to hell.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. It's funny because Dean, by breaking in hell, is often implied that he disappointed his father, like he disappointed John because John was stronger than him, which I still think is a lie. I think John got out of hell, so it wasn't an issue. And I don't think he could have broken the seal because of reasons, but fine. Sam also doing this, John would also have been disappointed in him, but also he's playing out so much of John's life in what he did in this season, like hunting down a demon and playing out his revenge arc. I don't know. It's just I feel so sorry for Sam because he always thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that works really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, he was manipulated from the very beginning. As soon as Ruby made her appearance in season 3 and saved his life and was a tall blonde.
Yeah. it was never gonna work out.
Nope.
It's almost like maybe they had to go through similar experiences in order to be prepared as vessels for their respective angels as well. It's like they both had to follow a path to get there. It's almost like there's some kind of plan or some kind of like writer who's like writing this plan. I wonder who it could be.
Does his name begin with an E or a C? I don't know.
No, I love that. I haven't really seen this as Sam's hell arc, but you're right. He's gone through just as much as Dean has, in a different way. More emotionally and mentally, I would say, than like physically like Dean did. But there's a lot.
We don't know how Lucifer converted Lilith from human to demon.
Yeah.
But I would not bat an eye if it wasn't similar to what Sam is doing.
Yeah, I think so too. The small corruptions leading up to the big corruption. Yeah. And it's the same kind of things, right? Like, it talks all through Lucifer as the one that corrupted Eve and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It all plays in to, you're right, the forbidden fruit in the green room, to the temptation. There's a lot. It all fits together well. And I'm sure someone's written it out much more nicely than we're discussing it.
Yeah. Because we're also talking, like, because, you know, I was thinking about this while I was watching it, so I don't really get to sit down and really, I wrote some of it, but, like, it's all still very fresh. Because even though, like, this episode doesn't have the same impact on the reveal, there's more impact by implication of what we already know that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. One thing it does show is that this has all been, it's all been a big old setup. This has been the whole thing. All of season 4 is a big old setup to get to here and onward from here.
Yep.
And what choices have they actually been able to make for themselves? And the only choices that we've been able to see that have been made by anyone outside of the storyline is by Cass. Awesome. The end of this episode, we see Lilith slumped to the ground. She's dead. Blood starts pouring from her body. I don't know where from. It's implied maybe she hit her head, but it wasn't that hard. It wasn't this much blood. It's supernatural blood. It's worming its way around, and Sam's confused. Ruby is like ecstatic. She's just got this big old grin on her face. She goes, I can't believe it. You did it. I mean, it's a little touch and go there for a while, but you did it. And Sam says, what did I do? And Ruby reveals herself as a Lucifer fangirl.
He's free at last.
Sam doesn't believe her. He's like, no, I stopped it. Like, I killed her. I killed Lilith. Like, I did it. I did the thing. I did the thing. The thing that we've been doing. The thing.
The thing for the greater good thing.
Yeah, you know, I saved the world. Ruby says, you know, almost in like prophetic verse, like,
And it is written that the first demon shall be the last.
And you bust her open, and now guess who's coming to dinner? The realization that Sam has is so awful. Like, he's literally there, like his head in his hands. Like, I can't believe I was manipulated in this way. We see Dean still trying to get through, and Ruby just explains herself. Like, she has her whole villain monologue. She has her moment.
There's many of those.
Yeah. And she says, like, you don't know how hard this was. And I hadn't remembered this, but we have been talking about it all season, like, who knows what. But it turns out that Ruby was in on this by herself, just her and Lilith.
Right.
Nobody knew. Alistair didn't know. Like, she says that she's the most loyal. I was the best of them. Like, I'm sure you're angry, but you have to admit that I'm awesome. That she managed to pull this off alone, essentially. Sam tries to exorcise her or kill her with his powers, but they're gone. They seem to be causing him pain.
Sorry to go back a little bit to her villain monologue.
Yeah.
This is basically her motivation. And it's literally just to be Lucifer's number 2. I
mean, that's the good enough.
Or number 1.
Power is a good enough reason, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think at the end of this, Alistair's dead, Azazel's dead, Lilith is dead. What other like big players are there to take Lucifer's side? There's just Ruby. And she's like, I'm the one, she's going to be literally there, ready and waiting to greet Lucifer and say, hey, I got you out of the cage.
That's true.
So it's all for power. And we kind of know that about her a little bit because of her interactions with...
Tammy?
Tammy? Yeah, Tammy. Because of her interactions with Tammy, like, she was originally a witch looking for power. And it's kind of just escalated since she's been a demon, right? She's still looking for something. I mean, this is a Rowena level move of power grabbing, right?
That's true. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, yes, Sam's powers are gone and he tries to exorcise Ruby. She says, you shot your payload on the boss. You know, ammo's gone. I took it as ammo. Yeah. Don't you be dirty.
I didn't. Honest.
Sam accuses her of poisoning him with the demon blood, but she says, no, it wasn't. Oh, this, again, devastating.
It was you. And your choices. I just gave you the options and you chose the right path every time.
You didn't need the feather to fly. You had it in you the whole time, Dumbo. Just rubbing it in there.
Yeah.
Said, I know it's hard to see now, but this is a miracle so long coming. Everything Azazel did and Lilith did just to get you here, and you were the only one who could do it.
Because it had to be you, Sammy. It always had to be you.
He's going to be grateful and he's going to repay you in ways that you can't even imagine. So she confirms here that he didn't need the demon blood to do this.
Right.
It was his own psychic powers that he was cultivating. And I guess the motivation, like having enough motivation to do it.
I guess so. Like, I guess this is all part of the corruption, right?
The blood is a stepping stone because the truth is he's still drinking demon blood in season 5. It's part of the getting him to do stuff, right? Making him believe the demon blood is the thing that's fueling his powers. So to get to the point to not listen to Dean enough to kill Lilith. Ruby's playing a lot of 3D chess here.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's partly because of the writing.
Yeah.
As in, like, they weren't sure where her character was going to go, so they started adding things in, not that they planned it this way.
I think so too. I don't think necessarily that Ruby cares about the apocalypse. I think she cares about raising Lucifer. So not necessarily the ultimate showdown, the whole Michael stuff. I don't feel like Ruby cares about that.
Well, because she says, you saved us. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's the opposite. So how the angels feel like they can just annihilate the demons, no problem. That's why they want to start this apocalypse. Yeah. The demons are looking to Lucifer to lead them and rid them of angels.
Because demons are going to hate angels. They've been locked out of heaven, made to suffer and I saw some of them thinking, like, for what reason? You know, they're going to want some revenge against that. And who better to do it than Lucifer? It's the whole thing. So yeah, you're right. Maybe she does want to bring about righteous vengeance against heaven kind of thing. Yeah. We don't find out the rest of Ruby's motivations other than raising Lucifer. Because Dean breaks in, and when Ruby stands up to confront him and says that he's too late, Dean says he doesn't care. Sam actually grabs Ruby from behind and, like, holds her arms while Dean stabs her. So it's a Winchester combo. I mean, Sam finally, I guess, sees the light with Ruby and helps Dean kill her. I still feel that's like a shame. I do feel like he had some kind of feelings for her, so it must be difficult to be betrayed in that way and then to instantly get her killed, like, help her get killed.
Well, I mean, he's so grateful to Ruby for having to always save his life. Yeah. The beginning of season 3 and then in the interim between season 3 and season 4, like in the months where he was destroying himself. Like, she gave him purpose. Yeah. That's all Sam needs. Sam needs a purpose, and then he'll go on that road and go through until it bites him in the ass.
I agree with you, 100%. Yeah, Sam needs some kind of guidance. Ruby dies. She flickers out and dies. Sam turns to Dean and just apologizes to him, like, so sad. Like,
I'm sorry.
Dean, for all his faults, they're watching this make this weird pattern on the floor that looks like a big portal thing. And it starts to shoot white light out of it, meaning that it's opening.
Sammy, let's go.
I think the use of Sammy here is like, I forgive you.
It's telling.
Yeah. Sam's like grabbing onto Dean and Dean's grabbing onto Sam and they're like, he's coming, Dean, he's coming. And then it all goes white. Yeah. And we get the credits, which is the first time we've had like a white out rather than a blackout on Supernatural.
Yeah. I will say that was actually a very good ending. Like, if I was watching this at the time and knowing that this is the end, like the last episode, I'd be like, when's season 5 going to start? Yeah,
when's it going to start? When's season 5? When's season 5, guys? The speculation that must have happened during the hiatus would have been wild. Because Ruby's dead. We're assuming here that Cass is dead too, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Chuck, but probably not.
Bobby's in the wind.
Yeah, who knows what's happened to Bobby? I mean, you know, Sam and Dean are about to see Lucifer. I bet there was loads of speculation about what Lucifer was going to look like. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like was maybe a bit of disappointment when he's just some guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But really, like, all of the angels have been just people. Like, if you look at Zachariah, like, he's supposed to be upper management. He looks pretty, like,
that's
average.
True. That's true.
They can't all be a tall drink of water like Misha.
You and Jeremy Carver calling Misha a tall drink of water.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, it's a really good ending to a really good season. I love season 4. But looking back at it now and thinking like how much of it is like just manipulation on Heaven and Hell's part to get them to that point is really sad. And I feel the kind of anger, I guess, that like Dean feels where it's finally revealed that Chuck is gone. He's like, what?
Yeah. It's actually the worst.
It's actually the worst. Yeah, lots of Chuck anger in this season. That like retrospective Chuck anger.
And he's only in like one episode in a scene.
But he's always there. He's always there, lurking in the shadows.
Lurking in the shadows of the narrative.
Lots of love for Cass. Oh my gosh. I'm not surprised they kept Misha on because he must that's just so well received in this season. But like, we don't know what happened to Anna. She's presumed dead at this point as well.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot.
There's definitely a lot. It would have been interesting to see how Anna would have been Cass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The thing is, I can see how they would have interchanged. Like, it almost would have been the exact same storyline, slightly different dialogue, because Anna's maybe a bit more sassy than Cass.
Right.
That's the way I'm going to put it. She just has a bit, like, more pop culture references and, like...
Because she grew up human.
Yeah, she's more human than Cass. So I see how they definitely could have fit her in. It's such an interesting choice they actually went with Cass in the end. Like, I do wonder about why they made that decision. Because I feel like, Destio aside, that the parallel between Ruby and Anna is much stronger than it is between Cass and Ruby. Just because Dean and Anna were already having sex in the Impala. Like,
right. It might have been that the whole thing that happened with Bella, like the introduction of another female lead for Dean was just too much for some of the fans.
I don't know. I would be interested to ask Kripke and be like, why did this get flipped? Because like we know that it got flipped. I mean, I'm also not complaining about it, but I'd like to know why, you know?
The thought process. There's nothing wrong with knowing like I personally think the more knowledge you can get out of it, why not? Like
exactly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to I do wonder who else in the cast would know.
That's true.
And who else in the cast would remember? Because it was quite a long time ago at this point.
That's the main thing. Who would remember? Because honestly, at this point... But I can see her doing the exact same story beats, like saving Dean from the green room. Totally could have been that. I think he could have had the same conversation with Cass up to the point that the sigil gets drawn, and then that could have been Anna. Maybe it was too symmetrical. I don't know. They'd made too many points. The roads were too parallel. They had to diverge a little bit. As a season closer, and I mean, we'll talk about this more in our wrap-up, I'm sure. This is excellent. It's still really fun to watch. It's still really fun to watch all the betrayals and the revelations happening. And it's really fun to watch Cass say we're making up as we go. The line.
Sam is finally sympathetic.
I love me some Sam. He's...
Yeah.
I feel incredibly sorry for him at the end of the season because you know he done messed up, but he's sorry about it. He done
messed up well bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
But who hasn't? Who hasn't accidentally started the apocalypse?
Right?
Right, we're at the end of the season, so we're going to be doing a wrap-up next week of the season. We didn't discuss here a lot of like the deleted scenes and extra bonus stuff they have, so we'll look at some of that and like overall Well, we talked a little bit about the end of this, like the whole season, but we'll do a bit more about that. And do our normal, what's the word? Dissection of the season. Dissection's a good word in the context of the blood and stuff.
Yes.
And then the week after we'll be releasing our bloopers, and then we're taking a break. So you have a few weeks before we are starting season 5.
Ooh.
And at the end of the episode, of course, I would like to thank the Pixel Gore for his wonderful artwork on our podcast. It really I just look at it sometimes and think how wonderful it is. And if you think that too, you can go and buy that artwork on Redbubble. You can get it as even like a canvas print to put in your house. And of course, any proceeds from that, some of them go back to the artist. I said that really weirdly, but it's fine. If you would like to, drop us your recap playlist.
Yes.
Okay. You can find us on Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook as Escaping Purgatory Podcast, or on Twitter as just Escaping Podcast. Well, come on.
Chop.
Chop. You're being graded.
And don't worry, you'll all get good grades because I'm sure they're all brilliant selections.
Yeah, we don't grade on a curve here.
So this week, we found ourselves in a sticky situation, surrounded by people we thought we trusted, and they'd betrayed us all. But we got our revenge. So hopefully next week we can find our way out.
Bye.
Bye.